I remember the first time I saw a human. It was the opening day of semester 42 at the Galactic Concord Academy, and I was sitting where I always sat, upper left tier, back against the wall, full view of every entrance. That is how my kind operates. We are Silverek, 7 feet tall, scaled. Our legs bend backward at the knee, built for sudden bursts through dense jungle. We have thermal pits beneath our eyes that let us read the body heat of every living thing in a room. And right then, every living thing in that amphitheater was exactly what I expected. The Vorathi pack had taken the high seats, all 6 of them pressed shoulder to shoulder. Lupine faces, golden eyes that never blinked at the same time. They hunted in relays on their homeworld, running prey to exhaustion in coordinated shifts. Dangerous, but predictable. Below them, 2 Garvin sat near the exits. Huge, armored, slow to move, impossible to stop. One of them, a male called Tolik, was already staring around the room like he owned it. In the far corner, a Thesic coiled quietly, her venom sacs catching the light every time she breathed. Beautiful and terrible in equal measure. I cataloged all of them in the first 30 seconds. Threat levels, behavioral patterns, escape routes. It was not rudeness. It was instinct. When your ancestors survived by knowing exactly what could end them, you do not walk into a room of predators without reading every single one. Then the door opened, and a human walked in. She was small, 5.5 feet, maybe less. Brown hair pulled back from her face. No claws, no fangs, no armor plating, no venom glands, no bioluminescent threat display. She wore the standard academy uniform, carried a plain bag over one shoulder, and moved with the kind of easy calm that you see in creatures who have absolutely nothing to prove. She sat down in the 3rd row. She placed her bag on the floor, pulled out a datapad, and waited. And here is the part I still cannot explain, even now. Every predator in that room turned toward her, not aggressively, not the way you orient toward a rival. It was deeper than that, older. It was the way you turn toward a sound in the dark that you cannot identify. Every thermal pit, every infrared receptor, every scent gland and tremor-sensing organ in that amphitheater, quietly, unconsciously locked onto the small, soft creature in row 3. I felt my own scales shift, a micro-camouflage response that my body triggers before I am even aware of a threat. I had not done that since my first combat evaluation 2 cycles ago. I did not know why. None of us did. After class, Rethka found me in the corridor. She was the sharpest of the Vorathi pack. Lean, silver-furred, with infrared scent mapping, so precise she could tell you what someone had eaten 3 days ago from across a room. She was agitated. I could see it in the way her ears kept flattening. "You felt it too," she said. It was not a question. I told her I did not know what she meant. "The human," she said. "I mapped her scent profile during the entire session. Do you know what I found?" I waited. Nothing. Rethka's voice dropped. No cortisol, no adrenaline markers, no stress hormones of any kind. She walked into a room full of apex predators from 9 different worlds, and her body did not react at all. Not even a micro-fluctuation. I told her that calm was not a threat. She looked at me like I was a child. "Every predator species I have ever encountered produces involuntary stress markers in unfamiliar territory," she said. "It is how biology works. You enter a space full of unknowns. Your body prepares. Even you, your scales shifted color when you walked in today. You did not choose that. Your body did it for you." She leaned closer. "The human produced nothing. Either she is broken in some way we do not understand, or she has been in rooms like this so many times that her body no longer considers it worth noticing." She let that sit between us for a moment. "Neither answer makes me comfortable," she said, and walked away. 2 days later, Instructor Dolal Vas began his unit on pursuit and evasion doctrine. Dolal Vas was Korvathi, 8 limbs, chitin-plated, compound eyes that tracked movement in 11 directions at once. He had served in 3 border conflicts and earned the rank of senior tactical instructor. He was not easily impressed. He called on each species to describe their primary method of pursuing prey. The Vorathi described relay chasing, organized, coordinated, methodical. The Garvin described ambush tactics, patience followed by overwhelming force. The Thesic described chemical immobilization. Inject, withdraw, wait. Then Dolvas turned to the human. Morrow, he said, describe the human approach. The room went quiet. Not silent, quiet. There is a difference. Silence is the absence of sound. Quiet is what happens when every creature in a room stops breathing at the same time. Lena Morrow looked up from her datapad. When she spoke, her voice was calm and conversational. She might have been describing the weather. We are persistence hunters, she said. On our home world, we evolved to chase prey over long distances. Not fast. We are slower than most of the animals we hunted. But speed was never the point. She paused, as if organizing her thoughts. We would choose a target. We would begin following it. It would run. It was faster than us, so it would escape easily. It would stop, rest, cool down, and then we would appear again. It would run again, escape again, rest again. We would appear again. Her voice had not changed tone. Not once. This would continue for hours. Sometimes from sunrise to sunset. Sometimes longer. The prey animal's muscles would begin to fail. Its body would overheat. Most species cannot cool themselves while running. They have to stop to pant, to rest, to let their core temperature drop. We do not have that problem. We sweat. Our cooling system works while we move. We breathe independently of our stride because we walk upright. We can eat and drink while traveling. We do not need to stop. She looked around the room. Her eyes were steady, brown, and utterly without malice. Eventually, the target collapses. Not because we wounded it, because its own body gives out. We walk up to it, still breathing normally, still calm, and the chase is over. Another pause. Then she added, almost as an afterthought, we do not chase because we are fast. We chase because everything else eventually has to stop, and we do not. I felt my secondary heart engage. It is a deep brain panic response that my species reserves for encounters with things that can end us. I had triggered it exactly twice in my life. Once during a jungle trial, once during live combat simulation, never in a classroom. Around me, I could feel the room recalculating. Every predator was running the same equation in their head, and every predator was arriving at the same answer. The small, soft, clawless creature in row 3 was not a weak species that had wandered into the wrong room by mistake. She was the most patient hunter any of us had ever encountered. That night, I could not sleep. I went to the Academy Intelligence Archive and pulled the full human species dossier. Not the summary brief we had been given during orientation, but the deep file, the classified one. I read for 6 hours. I wish I had not. I read about human endurance campaigns. Their soldiers marched for days without rest across frozen mountains, burning deserts, and open ocean. The same species, the same soft, clawless bodies. They did not specialize for any single environment. They adapted to all of them. I read about their medical practices. They cut themselves open to repair internal damage. They replaced failing organs with organs from other humans. They broke their own bones and reset them to heal straighter. They invented the practice of opening a body to fix it before they had invented medicine to prevent infection from the opening. Many of them survived anyway. I read about their bonding behavior. They formed deep attachments not only to their own kind but to other species. Animals they had once hunted, they turned into companions, protectors, family. They mourned their dead for years. They built monuments to beings they had never met. They formed emotional bonds with machines, with fictional characters, with abstract ideas. And they would put themselves in harm's way for any of these bonds, without hesitation and without logic. Then I found a note at the bottom of the file, written by a Korvathi military analyst. It read, "Do not engage humans in a long campaign. They will outlast you. Do not attempt to exhaust their willingness to continue. When you believe they are finished, they will simply redefine what finished means and keep going. Do not try to intimidate them. They tamed the most dangerous predators on their world and turned them into household companions. They strapped themselves to controlled explosions and launched themselves to their own moon, not because they needed to, but because they wanted to see what was there." I closed the file. I sat in the archive in the dark for a long time. The next morning, I saw Lena in the corridor. Her shoulder was wrapped in a simple stabilizer. She had taken a hard impact during a training exercise the day before. A Garvin had collided with her, and something had cracked. A member of my species would have spent a full cycle in a regeneration pod for that kind of injury. She was walking to class. I stopped her. I did not plan what I was going to say. The words just came. Why does every predator watch you first? She looked at me. Not with surprise, not with offense. She looked at me the way you look at someone who has finally asked a question you have been waiting for. Because all of you are very good at knowing what is dangerous, she said. And you can feel it, even if you cannot name it. Your instincts are not reacting to what I am doing. They are reacting to what I could do. You are not sensing a threat. You are sensing a possibility. Something in your deep brain is telling you that if I ever decided to be dangerous, you would not see it coming, and that I would be patient enough to wait as long as I needed to. She shifted her injured shoulder slightly and smiled. It was warm, real, completely human. But I am not here to hunt anyone, Kale. I am here to learn how to keep things peaceful. That is what most people do not understand about humans. We figured out a long time ago that the most powerful thing we could do was not to chase. It was to choose not to. Every day, we make that choice. Every single day. She walked past me and into the classroom. She sat in the third row. She pulled out her datapad. Every predator in the room watched her first. Over the following semesters, Lena Morrow became the highest-scoring student in interspecies diplomacy. Not combat, diplomacy. She negotiated simulated border disputes with outcomes that veteran diplomats could not match. She did it by understanding every species at the table, their instincts, their fears, their needs, and then carefully, patiently, building solutions where everyone walked away whole. She never raised her voice. She never made a threat. She never needed to. I think about that sometimes, late at night, when the station is quiet and the stars outside my window look the same as they did 1,000 cycles ago. The Galactic Concord spent centuries trying to understand how humans rose so fast, spread so far, and built alliances so deep. They studied human weapons, human ships, human soldiers. They were looking in the wrong place entirely. The answer was always sitting quietly in the third row. Humans are not the most dangerous species in the galaxy because they can overcome anything. They are the most dangerous species in the galaxy because they can overcome anything, and they choose, every single day, to build something instead. That is why every predator watches them first. Not because we are afraid of what they will do, because we are in awe of what they choose not to.